Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you all. Welcome to Reflection Corner. This is a very new podcast presented to you by me, Feta, and May. And today is going to be like an introduction so you guys can get to know us a little bit better.
And we're just gonna explain how we will do this in the future and do it now. And today we're actually starting with a fun fact, or a quote, and that is what we're going to do throughout this process and this podcast. We're just going to start on a factual note or like a reflective note because it's called the Reflection Corner. So that's what we want to do. And yeah.
Yes, so we hope that you are ready to listen to a very interesting and reflecting podcast. And inshallah, like throughout this journey and these podcasts, we will talk about different subjects and topics that are very relevant in our lives and hopefully also in your lives. So like our main topics that we want to cover are topics about like religion, mindfulness, and lifestyle,
consciousness, and all the things that we go around thinking about as Muslim women living in a Western country. But also in general, this is a journey of self-growth. And that is what we want to do. We want to grow, not only just ourselves, but the people who are listening. We want you guys to grow with us and learn something about yourself through our podcast.
Exactly. So the entire purpose behind this podcast is because me and May usually have really good conversations, and when we speak about stuff like about ourselves and about things going on in our lives, we always tend to like feel very motivated, and we feel like we get all of our thoughts out, and we kind of get new insight by speaking to each other.
Yes.
So we thought like, why not do this public so the world also can join in the conversation. Yeah. And hopefully you guys will also find this podcast beneficial to yourselves, and you will find like new insights and get to know yourselves better, like we have experienced.
And that is also why in this podcast, at the end of every podcast, we're going to give each other an assignment to do throughout the week, a self-help in what's it called, like exercise or like assignment, so that we can better ourselves. For instance, one of our things that we wrote down was counting how many times we say sorry in a week, and then just find out why we do that. And discuss with each other why we live in a society where especially the women usually apologize a lot. And so we want to make these small exercises so that we get to know ourselves better, and just really establish and get to know why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly. So just to break the ice between us, because we want to have a relationship with the viewers. We want you guys to know who we are, and of course we would like to know who you are as well. So like if you want, you can message us, you can tell us about yourselves, you can write it down in the comment field and everything. So it's all up to you, but for you to get to know like who we are, where we come from, and all of those like things, I think we'll have a stronger relationship, and therefore we'll start this podcast with an introduction, as we said earlier.
Yes. And
it will be in the form of like Q&A session, where we will ask each other different questions, and hopefully that will be beneficial for you as well. Maybe not so much, but
you'll get to know us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna start, because people can perhaps hear it on our accent. Where are we guys from? Where are we from?
So we're from Denmark. It's a small country in Scandinavia. We are from two different cities. I'm from the third biggest city, from Odense.
And I'm from the fifth biggest city, I think.
Okay, really?
Yeah, I think it's the fifth biggest city.
Okay, I didn't know.
It's quite small, so that's why she's questioning. Yeah. But so we're from cities close to each other. We're half an hour away from each other. As she said, we live in Denmark, but our families are Somali, as you can see, I hope. And for the people listening, we're black. We're both Somali. Our parents are from Somalia, but we were both born and raised here in Denmark. And I go to high school. This is my last year. So I'm gonna be like graduating this year, and
I'm on my second gap year. So inshallah I will start university this summer as well.
Yeah. And I am 19 years old.
And I'm 20 years old.
Yes.
Turning 21 this year, inshallah.
And I just turned 19. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to know each other.
So tell me about your religion-wise. How do you practice religion? How does it influence your life? And just in general, religion for you.
I would just start by saying that we're very deep.
Yeah.
So we just go straight down. So it's not on
we don't mess around.
We don't do that. So yeah. But yeah, religion-wise, I personally I try to practice my religion. I see my religion as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I'm Muslim. Yeah. So as a Muslim, I try to live by the laws that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has set down to us, because I believe that is the best way of living. Just like any other inventor or any other creator, they know their creation the best. So even though I believe that God knows me better than I know myself, so sometimes even if I come across situations where I don't know how to handle it, I feel like God already told me how to handle every situation.
Yeah.
So I don't need to learn it by experience, as people say. I don't need to learn it in the hard way necessarily. I think that our religion is very good at telling us what we're going to go through and how to overcome those situations the best way.
Yeah.
And of course it's a journey, it's a lifelong journey. I'm not even near where I want to be at, but inshallah I hope to be a practicing Muslim.
Yeah.
Someone who is proud of their religion, someone who knows that the religion is above everything.
Yeah.
And
just having a lot of integrity, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Believing and acting upon what you believe.
Definitely.
Yes.
And yeah, so let me throw that question back to you.
I guess it's the same for me. It's a lifestyle for me. I want it to be a big part of my life. I want it to be my life. I want my life to, come from the Islamic, traditions and, the way of life and the way we believe in life. And I try to, implement everything that I learn into, of course, my everyday life. It's hard, but I try to balance it out and I try to really find a way. But as you said, really, it's a deep connection to myself. It's something that gives me happiness. It grounds me. Yeah, and it humbles me. So in reality, it's just me becoming a better version of myself and a better person through my religion.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything you said. So yeah, okay, if I have to ask you another question, then what are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah. So lately, because of school, I haven't had a lot of time to do this particular thing, but I really enjoy, as you know, writing poems and, just poetry in general. I have a weakness, so I have a lot of poetry books and I read a lot online and I follow a lot of different kind of poetry slams and stuff like that. That is really my hobby, and if I could live off it, I would do so. And that just shows how much I love it, I think. Books in general, about a lot of things, society, history. I have a weakness for history. So historical films also, and historical books, and just things to do with the past. Also religiously, reading about the Islamic history, learning about wars and stuff like that. That really interests me. So those things. So I have an artistic side, and I think I have a bit of a geeky side also. What about you?
Well, I haven't been in school for 2 years, so I've had a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I've kind of dedicated these 2 years in my life to kind of get to know myself a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I know that is not a specific hobby. I don't think it can be categorized as a hobby. But you think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. But I try to get to know myself.
Yeah.
And I try to put a lot of get to know my religion a little bit better, because I think when I once start school it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So I try to focus more on my religion, getting to know the Quran a little bit better.
Yeah.
Try to make that a part of my everyday life.
I think that's interesting that you say that, because in reality, that's what we all need.
Mm-hmm.
Time to really get to know yourself and your religion on a deeper level. I think with school and with not taking a gap year, for me, I believe that you're just keeping the rush, like you're keeping the like time going, and time just flies.
Exactly.
And never get to really just settle down and think about what really means so much to you. And I think that is important that we take the time out to do that, especially with religion as Islam, because it's so like controversial these days, that you really, you know, get to know it, know that, you know, this is something that you want to be a part of.
Especially because, like, I remember for myself when I went to high school and just like school in general,
Yeah.
you don't find time, like you don't find any time, and you're so distracted. So even if you get to know something, it's hard to practice, because then you go back to school, and you know, school is not the most religious place of all places, so it's hard to like keep your like to keep that faith level that high.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easier just because you're home, it's not, but I feel like you're more like in an environment filled with religious, because you're at home. So if you have a religious family, it's more easier to like, you know, keep on that religiousness, if you can say it like that. I don't mean it in like any holy way, but
of course.
So that's one of the things that I try, because I know when I start in university, like it's gonna be hard, you know. So I try to make it a part of my life already now. So it's going to be something I can't live without. So even though like I have this hectic and rushful day, I will still go back to the Quran, go back to everything else, you know. So
that's interesting, really. But that's also one of the things that we really want to talk about. It's the element of fear that comes with not being able to give yourself fully to your religion. And not being able to be in the right environment. And those fears we're going to talk about later, of course, and go in depth with it. But if I just, you know, sum it up, you know, a part of the fear comes from not being the person you want to be completely. And that is one thing for me, is that school limits me in that way, because it's not a religious environment. And I can make mistakes that I wouldn't have done if I was in a different environment. So really the element of fear and not being happy. I'm not saying I'm not happy in school, I am happy, but I'm not the happiest in school, because there's so many things that keep me from being the person that I really want to be. Yes.
But I completely agree with you in the fact, especially like the fact that we live in a society that always tries to put Islam down and try to make it look like a very extreme and you know, like bad religion. That, and sometimes like even though we try not to get it in our heads, we do that. Like we also get brainwashed by the media.
Of course we
even
do.
Us as Muslims, you know what I mean? So as you said, like it's very important for us, especially the youth, to get to know our religion, even especially on the controversial sides.
Of course.
The places where they always like you know, that the media always talks about. We have to know, okay, what does this mean? Why do we do that? Because some of the things are true, but they just put a twist on it.
Of course.
And we just...
A negative twist.
A negative twist. And then some people start to say that's not a part of the religion, or I don't believe that.
Of course.
You know, it's very dangerous.
You know? Of course it is.
So it's very important, as you said, like we get to know our religion, especially the youth, because we already have that identity crisis. We don't even know ourselves. We don't know anything. And then on top of that, people are just like hammering at us because of our like Muslim identity. So,
and that is also one of the intentions with the podcast. To give you the perspective of young Muslim women living in the West who are trying to practice their religion in the best way possible, become the best people that we believe we're going to be with the religion, and you're just defying the stereotypical, controversial, you know, things that people put onto us. For example, with the hijab. Why don't you ask a Muslim woman wearing a hijab if they're oppressed? Nobody asks us. People just discuss it continuously. But what about us? We're the people waking up every morning, putting it on, going outside, being this symbol of religion and oppression, you know, as they say. I don't feel oppressed.
Me neither.
Like, I've never met a Muslim woman wearing a scarf that feels oppressed. Especially not in the West, where people have the opportunity to just take it off.
It's actually easier to take it off.
It's just
people
easier.
Just try to get it off of you all the time. So life would have been much easier just to take it off.
Just say, and also because like I can go to school and I can just take it off at school.
Yeah.
Why? Like nobody's gonna tell me anything, you know. My parents are not there. My parents are not gonna stop me. So you know, like it's easier, but nobody wants to talk about the people who actually practice.
Exactly. So we just have to get out there and just speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So like a question that can be raised here is like, how does the controversial things affect you? Okay. What like your lack of knowledge, like what does it do to a person when you lack knowledge in something? And how do people in general like react when they don't have knowledge about something but they still want to discuss it?
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing.
That's
actually
dangerous.
To speak about something you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But like when people they discuss something, especially like about religion, like if a non-Muslim came to me and then started asking me questions about my religion that I didn't know, I would actually feel like a little bit ashamed.
Yeah.
Because like I don't even know this part of my religion. Like how can you?
Yeah.
And I know like Islam is very broad and is a lot, like you can never know everything. I know that. Yeah. But still, it's just some of the questions they ask me and that I practice.
Yeah.
Like, how can you practice something you don't know?
Of course.
And even the Quran, like, it tells us constantly, like, to reflect, to think, to
use critical
critical, like, use your mind. And we don't do that. We just follow whatever our parents told us.
Yeah.
And that is just, for me, I feel like we need to understand it on a deeper level. Because there's a reason behind everything. And I'm not saying that, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us everything about everything, because he didn't. Some things we just have to like listen and obey. Like that's just how it is.
Of course.
But still, like we have to understand, and some things we can understand. We can know, why is this an important part of your life? Like if someone asks me, like, why do you pray 5 times a day?
Yeah.
I don't think that. Maybe now I would, but in that I have been in a situation where I wouldn't know what to say, because it's just something I've been told to do.
Yeah.
Of course, 5 times a day.
It's
why
like
just do it?
Yeah.
But there's a lot behind it.
Of course,
and maybe the reason why we don't know is also because first of all we don't seek that knowledge. We don't feel that it's important, which it is, because like you have to know what you're doing.
What you're doing. Of course.
You have to know your religion.
Yeah,
and also like if you don't reflect on the things you're doing, you cannot feel the
goodness.
Exactly. Like when you're praying, just praying just to pray.
Yeah.
You won't feel all the benefit that it actually gives you.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Contentment.
Yeah.
The like it takes you out of your situation. You get to know like, okay, there's more to life than just going to school and stuff like that. That's a lot of things. So for me, it's just. I don't remember your question now.
No, but the question in general was like, how deal with ignorance.
Yeah, basically. Well, the way I deal with it, with ignorance is like, I think I'll just get ashamed and then I just go home and read about it.
Just go home and read about it. But how about when people try to impose something on your religion, and unfortunately, like you don't have that much knowledge on it? Like how do you deal with that in that situation? Because there's a person coming to you filled with hatred. Trying to tell you something about your religion, and unfortunately you don't have that much knowledge to answer them in the correct way. Like how would you deal in that scenario?
Honestly,
I know it's like
but when someone came with hatred, I wouldn't even speak to them, because I feel like when someone comes with hatred, like their mind is already set.
You
cannot do anything to change their mind. So they're just there to try to make you like insecure about your religion. That's what they try to do, just to try to make you feel little and make you feel ashamed. So I don't even think I would answer that question. I would probably just be like you don't seem like someone who wants to know. You just seem you seem very arrogant. And I don't really want to talk to you. But if it was the other way around, like if someone came and was very curious, like sincerely curious about something, then if I didn't know, I would feel like I hope, like I wish I knew, but then I think I would probably tell them like I will go read on it, I will learn it for myself, and for to come back with something to you, and then I'll just say from there.
Of course, I did that with a friend once actually. She told me, she asked me, why are you called Muslims instead of like Islamists or something, and I was like, wait. I know, but I don't know. I told her, we're not Islamists because like we're human beings, and she was like, but I don't get that. I said, because our religion is called Islam, so like we can't be called Islamists. And I just tried to give a roughly like explanation of why, but in reality, like, I had a hard time understanding it as well. So I went home, I did my research, and I was like, I came back to her and I was like, I got it. Yeah. And she was like, oh, you did it? You did it? And I was like, yeah. And I just started explaining, oh, Islam means, submission, and it also means peace. So we're called Muslims because Muslims are people that submit in peace. Yeah. And I just gained so much from just going home, reading a few pages and stuff like that, and just learning about my own religion. Exactly. And for me, it's a bit sad that a non-Muslim, not that there's something wrong with non-Muslims, but that she has to ask me, and that I have then researched and then come back to her instead of just knowing simple things. Yeah. Like, it's a quite simple thing, actually, and many people, I don't know if people know why they're called Muslims instead of Islamists. But for me, that was eye-opening because my friend, she's so open, and she's not religious at all, but she's so open because I am religious, and she's willing to, sacrifice her time for me. And I pray at her house because she lives close to the high school I go to, and I love when people come to you with an open mind. Yeah, exactly. I don't care if you're like an atheist, if you're like hate Islam or something, but if you come to me with an open mind, and you want to learn me as a person, get to know me as a person, I will give myself fully. I will answer your questions. Yeah. And that's an important, mindset to have, that if people come to you with an open mind and an open heart, that you're also willing to do the same. Exactly. Even though, your things you believe won't change, because I'm not willing to compromise my religion for someone that doesn't, don't believe in what I'm saying. But I accept, I'm willing to try to understand their perspective. Yeah. And that open mindfulness, is very important, especially in the society we live in, because we live among Muslims, non-Muslims. We all live together, and we need to live in harmony. Of course. And in ignorance is the roots of division. Of course. And then we always have all these prejudices against each other and all of these things. But if we get to talk, if we start a dialogue and get to know each other, I think life would be so much easier. Even if they don't convert, they don't need to do that. But they'll just understand that, okay, these are also human beings, and their religion is not as bad as the media portrays it. Because, when someone says, no, my friend is Muslim and she's not that, and they defend us because they know someone. They know someone and something about who doesn't, live up to the narrative we always hear about. So it's very important to talk. It's very, as you've said, that sincerity and that open heart, it's very important. Yeah. And that is something, regardless of who you are, if you have an open heart, I think people are more inclined to talk to you. Yeah. And be your friend, and of course, all of those things. And if you if you portray a person that is humble and that is grounded. Yeah. No matter who you are, what race you are, what religion you follow, if your whole energy is just down to earth, I think everyone will approach you. Exactly. Yeah. And then you won't be defined by the media and people's ideas and stereotypes and so on. So it's all about manners at the end. Definitely. And how you carry yourself, and how you allow people to speak to you, and how you allow yourself to speak to other people. Exactly. Yes. Okay, so if we take the last question. Yeah. So last question is what do you expect to gain from this podcast? The main thing I expect from this podcast is to get to know myself on a better level, to understand why I do the things that I do, and just be more conscious about myself, my religion, the people around me, the way that I choose to live my life, and even the way I sit and speak. I want to be aware of more than I am now. So inshallah, that is what I want. That is my main intention, but also to just give my perspective on my life, because so many people want to tell me how I'm living my life as a Muslim woman. People always want to force something down my throat, but I'm here to speak. Exactly. I'm here to say my opinion and just be content with that. Yes. What about you? Well, mostly the same. Yeah. Actually, exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, because like one of the things that I've realized through our conversations is like, as you said, like I got to know myself better.
Yeah.
Because I'm like the type of person when I speak about my thoughts openly, verbally, I feel like I can process it in another way. I understand myself in another way than I would do if I just thought it.
Yeah.
Or if I wrote it down or something like that. Like there's something else that happens when you speak to someone else about it.
Of course.
And then you get, like as you said, we get new insight. Like I get a new perspective of things, or I think you come with things that I've never thought about, and I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought about that.
True. That happens.
So so that is also like I gain more knowledge. I get to know myself better. I get to know you better. There's a lot of aspects that plays in.
Of course,
yeah. Yeah. So and also like for me, it's more like that growth, that self-growth, developing as a human being, as you said as well. So yeah, mostly the same actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna end on a question, and usually that's the one thing that we want to do throughout these podcasts, and end with a reflective question.
Hence the reflection.
Yeah. And that is wait, I thought about something really good, and then now I can't remember. But why are we afraid to get to know ourselves on a deeper level? Sure. Why are we afraid of becoming aware of the things that we do, every single thing that we do, and the way we act, the way we are towards other people, and just really think about ourselves and our actions.
Yeah, it's true actually.
Yeah. And that is like an open, reflective question for you guys to really think about.
I'm already starting to reflect on
that. Just thinking about the small things. Why do I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, as you said, like what stops us from being the person we want to be, or be completely ourselves?
Yeah.
And that fear of being yourself.
Is it other people, or is it truly just ourselves?
Yeah. Is it afraid of getting to know yourself and not disliking who you are? What is it? That's a good question.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, that is something to reflect about.
Yes.
And also, we would like to end this podcast with an assignment.
Yeah.
So like this week, until next time, we can try to do something new.
Yeah.
And because we were introducing ourselves today, we thought about like getting to introduce, just getting to know someone.
Yeah.
Another way, like it can be anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
Even like your parents, if you haven't asked them, like
siblings,
siblings, and like someone you don't really know.
Yeah. So
that someone you can know more about.
Of course. So the assignment next week, until next week, is to get to know someone on a deeper, perhaps, or a better level.
Yeah. Or a stranger.
And
get a new friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And we encourage you guys to do the same, since this is a podcast for us all and not just the two of us. And just write a couple things down throughout the day that you learn about someone new, and keep it ready to the next question, and you can submit it in the comments below, and we're gonna read it. And we're just gonna talk about things that we found out and stuff like that.
So we're gonna talk about how the assignment has worked out for us. So we're also in this assignment as well.
Of course, yeah.
So as we've said, like this is going to be a very personal, very a developing journey, and we hope that you guys will join us, and I hope you found this beneficial.
Yes.
And yes, inshallah.
We just
I think that's that.
Yeah, that's it. And I hope our accents get a bit better throughout, and that you can understand us. But inshallah,
yeah. So that was that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.